every single thing that we buy on the internet, we buy because of the photos and videos that get us excited to purchase those
Yes.
products. I don't know about you, but I've never seen crappy photos of a product and thought, you know what, I think I'll buy that. In fact, it's the exact opposite. So much of how we make our decisions today is based on how the visuals make us feel and the story that they tell. And there was no company that was really using technology to solve for that complexity, that cost, the slowness of creating those assets. And so that's what Soona wanted to do. And that is what Soona does today. We are a virtual photo shoot platform, as you mentioned, and we make it easy for brands to plan their photo shoots, have their photo shoots across our network of creatives, and then get those assets delivered and deployed to the places where they sell their products online. And so it's been a really fun ride. It's been a really interesting last 10 years now of working for myself. I've learned so much, but I think I more than anything have learned just how important it is to be grateful for your experiences, whether it comes from being a really young child in a family shop or, being where I am today.
Welcome back to the Tech Visionary Show. I'm your host, Rich Bontrager, and we are glad to have you with us here today. We're going to get back to another one of our great conversations talking about technology, the future, the past, where we're heading, where we're at. We are going to talk to some of the best influencers on every one of our shows here of the influence of today and those that are taking us into the future. One of the big challenges today is that companies and brands are able to do new and amazing things through the power of AI, which, by the way, has become more and more user-friendly and accessible, and companies can do amazing things that they've never thought they could ever do before. Today, my guest, Liz Giorgi, is a media entrepreneur, Emmy Award winner. She is currently working as a co-founder and CEO of Soona and is a revolutionary virtual Photoshop platform. They're providing the fastest and most affordable ways to create personal content online, which everyone is doing today. So without any further ado, I'm going to welcome Liz onto the Tech Visionary Show. Welcome, Liz.
Hi, happy to be with you, Rich.
Thanks for joining us because you are in the sweet spot right now, I think, of anything in technology, AI, branding, marketing, entrepreneurship. I think it's a wonderful place to be, but how did you get there?
Oh man, it has been quite a journey for me, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my journey. I had a really meandering career to becoming an entrepreneur, especially a tech entrepreneur. I went to school for the industry of television, and I wanted to be a broadcaster, much like what you're doing here today. Ultimately, ended up being a television editor for many years, was editing both commercial spots and traditional television programming. And after nearly 10 years of doing that, realized that I was catching the entrepreneurial bug. I had this really unique and formative childhood experience of growing up in a tourism town. I grew up in northern Minnesota, and my grandparents owned a canoe outfitter in northern Minnesota that took people into the Boundary Waters. And working in a family business, it's really hard for the entire family not to be entrepreneurs in the funniest way. Even as a little girl, I would greet customers when they'd come in the door. I would pick blueberries on the bushes outside of our shop, and I'd set up on a Saturday afternoon when folks would come back from their expeditions, and I'd sell blueberries for a couple bucks a pop. And the whole family was part of that business, and it was so interesting how after 10 years of kind of making my career work for me in different capacities, I really felt the need to take control of my career and to actually start my first business. And so started my first business in 2012. It was a production company that focused on ads for the internet. Sounds so almost silly now because ads on the internet are basically half the internet. But at that time, this was a novel concept and definitely not something that a lot of folks were doing. And so I spent some time working on that company, grew that company over the course of 7 years, and ultimately sold that company in 2019. And when I sold that company, I made the massive mistake of not taking a vacation. I decided to go right into my next idea. And that idea, it was for Soona. My vision for Soona was the same then as it is now. Every single thing that we buy on the internet, we buy because of the photos and videos that get us excited to purchase those
Yes.
products.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I've never seen crappy photos of a product and thought, you know what, I think I'll buy that. In fact, it's the exact opposite. So much of how we make our purchase decisions today is based on how the visuals make us feel and the story that they tell. And there was no company that was really using technology to solve for that complexity, that cost, the slowness of creating those assets. And so that's what Soona wanted to do. And that is what Soona does today. We are a virtual photo shoot platform, as you mentioned, and we make it easy for brands to plan their photo shoots, have their photo shoots across our network of creatives, and then get those assets delivered and deployed to the places where they sell their products online. And so it's been a really fun ride. It's been a really interesting last 10 years now of working for myself. I've learned so much, but I think I more than anything have learned just how important it is to be grateful for your experiences, whether it comes from being a really young child in a family shop, or being where I am today.
So I'm curious, starting out wanting to be a broadcaster, how much did your broadcasting training viewpoint of life? Because again, as a broadcaster, I see the world differently. How did that help you go into this AI creative Photoshop? Did it help you having that media
Oh,
mindset?
100%. I mean, first and foremost, working in television and, frankly, being a television editor, for example, you learn that it's the most important thing actually isn't what you put in, that 20 minutes of television. It's the decisions you make about what not to say. It's the hours and hours and hours of decisions that you've made before then of what's not going to make the final cut. And so you become really good at prioritization. You become really, really good at honing in on what's the key thing you want to achieve, what's the key things you want to do in your business. I think the other thing, though, is it made me an incredibly confident communicator from the beginning, as the founder of the company. And so, more than anything, I really do think that it was a formative experience to be able to make those strong decisions and then communicate them effectively.
Tech Visionary Show, sponsored by Drake. We're going to take a commercial break here. Be right back with more great conversation in just a moment. But first, this word from Drake.
To be the best in your industry requires speed to market and flawless implementation. And for that, you're going to need the right IT team. Meet Drake, your nearshoring partner for top IT talent in Latin America. With a talent pool of over 35,000 fully remote English-speaking Latin American developers available for long-term, full-time work, we take care of every step of your tech augmentation needs. From matching and pre-screening your ideal candidates to acting as the employer of record throughout their employment term, all for a fraction of the cost of hiring the same position in the U.S. Risk-free, no placement fees, no hiring obligations. When you're ready, we invite you to book a complimentary zero-obligation call with one of our customer success managers to see how we can fill your current or future IT openings today. Just go to bydrake.com/contact. That's BYDREC.com/contact. We can't wait to augment your tech team.
It's very interesting because the broadcast world is helping so many people now help entrepreneurs. I know a lot of broadcasters that have been in the studio, camera, mic, editing room, and now they're consulting and helping brands and companies learn the power of media. This is a new world for a lot of entrepreneurs, isn't it?
Well, now more than ever, it's so important that your entrepreneurial role evolve just past your day-to-day job and evolve into being the chief storytelling officer of your company.
Yes.
You are the most entrusted person to tell the who, what, when, and why of your business. And more, I think, now than ever, really buyers don't want to buy from amorphous brands. They want to buy from people. They want to buy from folks who sound like them, who look like them, who maybe even have the same problems or experiences as them. And the only way to really get that across is to be vulnerably available to people, to go out there, share your story, talk about the things that matter to you. And I have found that, people really do relate to founders. They really relate to the aspirational nature of starting something, of being brave. Shark Tank has been on for what, like 20 years now, because people really do aspire to be like founders. And so founders embracing that role of chief storytelling officer, being really proactive and taking any opportunity they can to tell the story, I think is a secret weapon that many, many founders are learning that they can unlock.
Well, and you doing the photo suite that you do and the way you work with your company, a lot of entrepreneurs don't think visual. Today, you have to think visual. To succeed, you have to think visual. How much of a challenge has that been for you to create a team that thinks visually to help other people think visually?
Oh, if you really come down to, well, how do we shop? Well, we shop with our eyes. We shop with that moment of, I always tell the story of when you were a little kid and you'd walk through the mall or you'd walk in your downtown area or wherever you grew up, where the great shops were, there'd always be that shop window, right? That beautiful shop window where brands would spend time and money and resources making this beautiful experience to highlight their products. And it's because these visuals, they tell us a story. They tell us how special this item can be. They can tell us who it might be for. It might even tell us what we might do with that product. And so visuals on your website aren't all that different from that display window in your childhood store. It really communicates a story to the consumer. And it's really important not to just think about it as kind of a transactional part of the experience, but to actually invest in, every single time I click through one of those images, are they learning something new? Are they learning something new about how they might use the product? Are they learning something new about why they might enjoy the product? That is so, so critical to how we shop today. And I would be remiss if I didn't add that the way we buy things now is so, so different. I look at how people buy things on TikTok shops, for example, where we're buying things from people who look like us, who are just trying out products. I get, things algorithmically targeted to me every single day. And so many of those things that are being targeted to me of women who look like me, who are around my age, who are having my experiences. And so it's important to take that learning, to take that observation and say, where else does that apply in my business? Where else can I take that observation and make it really highlighted in the other places where consumers are making decisions about my product?
Well, every time technology has come into the internet, small business, entrepreneurship, there is a learning curve. We've gone from written text to static photos to moving little emojis to now AI that can create almost anything you want. It's exciting. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's overwhelming. What can you talk to that point of the fear factor, excitement factor, and they're confused on what to do next?
I think that it's, first of all, incredibly understandable why people feel intimidated by what's going on in the world of whether it's AI or it's just the pace of progress in technology today. And part of the reason I understand it is because I'm part of it too, right? I see it myself all the time with how these moments play out, how we'll all of a sudden go from a life where nobody was using ChatGPT to everyone is using ChatGPT. So it does feel like the world is changing really fast.
Yes.
But the thing I will say is that if you change your relationship to technology as it being like a tool instead of a thing that's going to replace you or is going to somehow make you irrelevant, you have a different orientation to it then. So, it sounds so simplistic, but the way I would think about it is, imagine if every tradesman thought of a hammer as a replacement instead of a tool. Well, sure, a hammer can do a lot of work, but a hammer is only as good as the person wielding it. And that's how I feel about technology as well. Most technology is only as good as the people wielding that technology. I think about this so much in the art of creative work because you can give two different people a camera, the most high-end camera in the world, a $20,000, full format camera.
Yeah.
And one person will take a pretty crappy picture, even with the most expensive camera in the world. And another person will take an amazing photo that's worthy of a museum wall. That comes down again to, it's not the $20,000 camera that makes the difference, it's the person wielding it. And so I say the same about AI. AI is a tool that, can do a lot for you if you are willing to invest in becoming great at using it for your use cases. And, I would encourage folks to think about that framing for how they're going to approach their relationship to any new technology.
So your platform is a creative one, and you're a creative yourself, obviously. Which is driving which? Is the platform now, the AI services driving us, or are creative people driving the AI services, do you think?
Yeah, it's a really interesting framing. I haven't thought of it that way before. I would say I still believe that great quality creative drives most conversations we have in our business, and that AI is like a supplementary tool in our toolbox. I definitely believe that AI opens a lot of doors of curiosity. I think it opens a lot of questions that can be asked. But more than anything, when somebody chooses Soona, when somebody decides, let me go ahead and schedule a call to talk with Soona about solving some of our creative challenges in our business, what they're really thinking about is they're thinking about that opportunity to have better creative. They don't necessarily always care how it's going to be better. They may not even really know what tools are being used to make it better, but it's the quality of that creative the evocation and efficacy of that creative that is making them so motivated to investigate and learn more. And so I still believe in the power of creative. I think creative comes first, and a lot of the other components do follow.
Now, you guys have something with your platform about collaborative AI. I checked it out a little bit. It made my head spin, but it sounds really cool. Real time, adapting, changing. But you also have a collaborative team that can also work together. Can you explain it way better than I could? Because this sounds amazing.
Okay, well, I'm happy to explain it. So it's funny that you said it made your head spin, because that means that we have a little more work to do to make it feel more approachable. So what I would say is, every single creative process that you've ever embarked upon, whether that's, working on a scrapbook or drawing a picture, or even, painting, if you've embarked on that kind of creative endeavor. So much of the creative process is iterative. We start in one place, we end in another place. We like something, we change it. We add something, we delete it. It's about being able to be iterative and responsive. Many of the AI tools today that are on the market, whether that's Midjourney or Stable Diffusion or any of the others that you may have tried, they are a complete creative process. And what I mean by that is you can't iterate on it. You write in a prompt, and then the prompt delivers an image, and then that's that. You can't make changes to that image. You can't evolve it. You can't say, I like this, I don't like that. You're kind of stuck with what that first output really looked like. And so there isn't a way to sort of tweak and change as you go. Collaborative AI is an attempt to sort of change that mindset and to more seamlessly align the AI tools that we have available to us today to the creative process that is so inherently natural to those of us who are creative people. We want to be able to try things and test things. We want to be able to add things to an image and remove them from an image. And so our tools give brands and users the interface to do that. You want to try a different color fruit in your picture. You want to put flowers in your photo. You want to, maybe change something about the window or change something about the plants. We give you that ability to test, to iterate, to learn. And again, to really collaborate with the AI, to see the AI as your tool and as your creative companion versus something that's going to replace your creative process.
What I heard and saw sounds so interesting, because I saw in the videos, and you started with one thing, someone else had another idea from your team, they went into that, and then another person had another idea. So it's not just one person controlling it. It really is a true collaborative thing, which I think more and more companies are trying to figure out how to do that. They're trying to make this much more of a team thing instead of the art department does it all. Do you think that's true, that we're trying to get more of a team cooperative thing going right now?
I think businesses in general are trying to find any way to be more collaborative and honestly to harness the power of what happens when new ideas are mixed with old ideas, when departments are able to learn from one another, from when insights are shared. I think it goes far beyond just the creative process. It goes into all the processes that we engage in at work. But I do think you're right. I think that there are more people than ever touching the creative product that sells products online. I think there are more people than ever that are part of the creative process for a brand and who are charged with expressing the brand in a lot of different places. And so definitely there needs to be tools that embrace that. But the other thing I will say is, on the flip side of that, I think there's also a trend right now towards brands really wanting to invest in their brand and in really investing in the things that make their visual identity special, that make their business stand out from other businesses, and ultimately allow them to be the most competitive that they can be. Because when you look at, in this kind of creative environment that we're in this social media environment that we're in, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of content out there in the world. And so the really only competitive advantage you have, it's not volume, it's not necessarily speed, it's not necessarily going to be, just being able to have the most novel. It's honestly being able to be remembered. And one of the ways that brands can be remembered is to make their brand feel coherent, consistent, and frankly repetitive, that people can see it again and again and again and say, oh yeah, I recognize that as something that matches these other things that I've seen before. And so yes, there is a more collaborative approach, but I also think there's a little bit more of a, let's be really intentional about investing in the places that will allow our brand to be more robust, allow it to be more defined, and allow it to be more competitive for us as a creative advantage.
Picking up on what we were just talking about, I can remember when I used to buy, now this is going to date me, folks, but you would buy your disc and the fonts were on there, the certain logos were on there, and that's all you had. And everyone bought the same disc. So you would see variations of the same company logo on different companies. What we're doing now is scrapped all that. You can create anything you want. Where does that creative genius begin, do you think? Is it from the CEO? Is it from the founder? Is it from the team that has that artistic flair? Where you help people begin the process? Because it's a blank canvas now.
It is a blank canvas, but I also think that brand is more critical than ever. And so it is a living, breathing process, less so than maybe in the past where, a brand would come up with a logo, a name, a website, and then that was kind of the beginning, middle, and end of it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do that. I think when it's about approaching your brand as something that's inviting people in. Number one, are you creating something that people want to be a part of? Two, it's about, does it reflect what my customer believes is true about me? So, asking customers, what we're aiming for is XYZ. How does our company make you feel? How does our company resonate with you or not, so that you can make sure that aligns. And then three, it's, I think, ultimately more than anything, not being boring. Right now, there is a lot of, again, attention economy is real. Trying to get attention is hard. Certainly, you can find many different ways that brands can be boring, and I can think of many household names that are boring. And I think about today, if they had come out with that name, if they had come out with that logo, would it have stood the test of time in the way that it has? Maybe if it's a 50-year-old brand. Today, that's not the case. It's so hard to stand out. It's so hard to get attention. You've got to be willing to try something different. I think about recently, I was working with a client at Soona that is in a really provocative industry, and they have a name that is equally provocative. At the same time, we've worked with brands that are, maybe household products or cleaning products, and they've chosen to go a direction that's equally provocative. And the reason is because they are trying to stand out. And so really, I think there's no rule about, there's no major rule about, the world of startups other than don't be boring. Because if you're boring, you are probably not going to get the attention that you need to get your business off the ground.
So there's the opposite side of that, is that some people go crazy now. Every font, every color, every transition, they're using everything all the time, and it's overwhelming sensory. How can we help people not go that direction either? Instead of being boring, they're now like super crazy, super inventive, and it's too much for viewers, shoppers to get anything out of it.
I think it's about having one message, right? Again, it goes back to that sort of simple kill your darlings mentality. I know that some folks don't necessarily love that phrase, but it's one that I've held on to for most of my career, which is people can typically remember one thing. So don't tell them seven. Pick the one thing you want them to remember and then focus on that one thing. And, I have been told this before by so many friends. It's funny how quickly people forget. And so don't underestimate the power of repeating yourself. Even with your existing customers, repeating yourself again and again and saying, this is what we stand for. This is what we do. These single points of view, making it easy for them to remember, making it easy for them to latch onto that. That's an important part of this journey as well, because it speaks to, in my opinion, the challenge around the attention span.
Yeah.
We all do not have the attention spans that we used to, unfortunately. And that lack of attention span means sometimes we do have to hear things again and again. And so, I always encourage people, say one thing and say it again and again. And that's sort of the new rules, if you will, of working in this industry.
Well, and there is so much noise, like you said. It used to be you had to tell them 7 times and they got it. Then you have to tell them 10 times. I think you have to tell them like 18 times before somebody gets it, because there's so much competition. And AI now is maybe speeding that up, because people are creating stuff new and fresh so fast and rushing it out the door. It is really overwhelming to stay on that one thing to market it well. But you got to be repeating the same message, don't you?
You do. And, look, it will be boring. It will be something that you will say, my God, am I saying the same thing over and over again? But that comes back to remembering that core job of the founder today, be the chief storytelling officer. And that's the thing about great stories. They don't change. Most of the great stories that we all, grew up on, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, hasn't been edited. It's the same story. And I think it's important to remember that. You can dislike it, you can be frustrated by it, but it is essential to remember that is the truth of great stories, is that
Yeah.
they stay the same and they need to be repeated. Now, by the way, this doesn't mean that your business might not change. One of the things that people often ask me is like, well, what if my business changes? What if our strategic positioning changes? What if
Yeah.
our messaging needs to change? You know what? That's good. That's good. That means your business is undergoing evolution. That means your business is listening to customers. It means that you're getting incredibly important data about how your business, frankly, can reflect the current moment, whatever that moment might be for you. And in doing so, in evolving for that moment, it just means that you have to, again, say one thing. So whatever that rebrand is or whatever that repositioning is, you need to say that one thing, and then you need to say it again and again and again. So it's just that even when you do change, you focus the energy on saying the one thing every single time.
Exactly. Now, your platform, Soona, is an all-in-one, one-stop shop for content suite creation, correct? So there's other ones
I can.
doing
Why don't
that.
I say the one thing about Suna?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. If it's all for all in one everything, what makes Soona distinctive?
Well, yeah, funny that you should say that. It's funny to think about how, as silly as it might sound, there's a lot of different content that you need to sell your product online. So when you're ready to sell your products on your website, there's content that you're going to need on your website, right? You're going to need that brand content. You're going to need that product on white content. You're going to want that user generated content, those reviews that tell people about your business, and about their satisfaction with your product. And so that's about the content that will sell your product in that part of your journey. But funny enough, there are multiple parts of this journey, depending on where you are at in your business. And what I mean by that is, there's another part of the journey that is incredibly important. And that's the part of the journey when you start expanding into new places. So when you're ready to sell your product on TikTok, you're going to need different kinds of content on TikTok than you need on your website. When you decide that you're ready for Amazon and you want to start reaching people through those channels, it turns out that selling products on Amazon is a different experience than selling products in other types of places that are, say, for example, Target.com or Walmart.com. And when you want to sell on Target.com and Walmart.com, you're going to have a different set of content needs when you go there. And so being an all-in-one place simply means we're with you on that commerce journey.
Mhm.
Every step that you take to grow and change your business, content is going to be an essential part of that journey. And we're going to be there to help make that content creation easy, no matter where you want to grow and expand your business.
So that's a great point. As you being one of those entrepreneurs, leaders on the forefront of this AI, yes, you can create it, but every one of those platforms you just mentioned and many, many others may have a slight variation of the rules or regulations, and some may not even like AI created content. How do we navigate that as leaders, business owners? They're trying to push themselves further out there, but the game's ever changing from every platform to every company out there.
It's so true. And what I would offer is there are two ways to be thinking about this. One is to pick your place and focus to start. It's not a good idea to start your e-commerce business and try to go everywhere. And it's certainly actually not a good idea when you have an established e-commerce business or when you are a brand manager or an e-commerce manager at a larger business to try and tackle many channels at once, because it turns out that each channel has incredibly specific requirements and specific needs, and you want to meet those needs and you want to nail it. So what we always recommend is that we recommend really centering your energy around pick the product, pick the platform, and then nail the platform with that specific product. And, that's what Suna actually is so excellent for. I think about, when a brand is ready to, for example, launch on Walmart.com. We have a photo shoot then built by our Walmart experts called the Walmart Launch Photo Shoot. And that photo shoot comes with the complete shot list that you're going to need to successfully launch on Walmart, the recommended types of models and types of visual support that will allow you to be successful on that channel. And it's backed by the data that we have about that particular platform. So for businesses that maybe are uncertain about, what is the right thing for us or what is the thing to do, it takes all the guesswork out of it. There's no guesswork about how you're going to be successful on Walmart when it comes to Soona, because we've built that expert curated photo shoot for your business. Similarly, when you think about, okay, now we're good with Walmart, we're going to go to TikTok and we're going to launch on TikTok. We've built the exact same product for TikTok, an expert curated photo shoot for TikTok. Well, what does that mean? It means it's going to be videos that are purpose-built for taking advantage of TikTok shops. So instead of, seeing a cut and replace or a copy and replace of your previous content, it's going to be content that's designed expressly for that use case. And, look, I understand why some people might think, I can figure this out on my own, no problem. I'll just go research this or I'll go look on the website. You can do that. But let me tell you, when you start scaling into lots and lots of products, having to keep all those technical requirements in mind, visual requirements in mind, size requirements in mind, that can be quite the burden to a business, especially to a business owner who, frankly, wants to focus on the things that they love to do, or on a brand manager that wants to focus on the things that they actually love to do. And so we really pride ourselves on saying, look, we're going to take that guessing work out of your day. We're going to be your partner in this. We're going to be the people that you can count on to help you answer these questions and get the best possible outcome you can get for your business.
So I'm thinking about other CEOs, other founders, and they've done it this way, and they're dipping their toe into the AI and the new way of doing promotions and catalogs. What should a CEO or the top admin people in companies be looking for now and thinking to build out this media strategy? Because again, back at the beginning, I said they don't know media like you and I do, but they all have to start learning media. So what type of person do you bring in to grow this and own it and protect it so they don't it goes crazy out there? Who should they be hiring?
Oh, it's such a great question. The person that you're going to hire is going to obviously depend on the stage of your business. But what I'll start with is that every single business today needs to be an expert in telling their story online and in driving demand for their products. And so if it was me, and this is true of when we were growing our business, there are two key hires when you're trying to drive demand. One is going to be telling the story on third-party channels. So that's going to be your social media channels, your partnership channels, your press channels. So think of this as a growth and outreach person, somebody who's going to go out in the world and talk about your business, tell the story of your business to net new people. But for that to be maximally successful, I actually think the thing to do is to hire at the same time somebody who works on retention and works on repeat. And the reason I say that is because it actually does you no good to acquire a customer and then never speak to them again. You actually want to build a relationship with them. You want to be constantly telling them the story of your business, constantly reminding them that you have more to offer them. And so what I always recommend is, in tandem with bringing on that growth and outreach person, bringing on that retention person. And that retention person is going to focus on the channels where you are going to talk to your customers in an ongoing way, constantly reminding them of what you have to offer. And so that's going to be your email person, your SMS or MMS person, so somebody who's sending text messages to your customer, and perhaps the person who's doing events and sort of curated opportunities for your customers. And so those are the two places that I would focus my energy if I was in a brand today.
That's fantastic, because a lot of people are stuck in that moment. They're scrolling, they're watching everyone else do it, and they realize, I'm not doing anything here in my company. What do I do? Who do I hire? A lot of people don't know where to go. So thank you, because that's really targeted stuff. Well, here is the website. Tell us what they're going to find when they hit the QR code and beam on into Soona.
Yeah, when you check out Soona.co, you're going to see a couple things right away. You're going to see that we're the content business. We're going to help you with content for your e-commerce store. So, you'll be able to see some of the most popular types of content that people create on the platform. That's going to be your website content, your Amazon content, your social media content, and then of course your retail partner content. And so that'll be a great place to start for many folks. They'll get to learn about the things that make our business go and make our business successful. And I really encourage them to check that out. But the other thing they're going to see is that, we have a lot of free tools at Soona, and I don't want people to miss the opportunity to check those out. So if you scroll about halfway down the Soona page, you'll see that there's about 8 different free tools that we offer. Everything from a free photo editor, to a free sampling of some of our AI tools. So you can try out that collaborative AI feature I mentioned before, to a free Canva app that makes it really easy to connect Soona photos to your Canva designs. And so, go try some of those things, see what we have to offer, and hopefully you'll have a great experience.
Keep learning about this AI, the technology. You mentioned Canva. I use it every day. It's just one of the great tools out there, and they're all slightly different. Everyone's advancing and changing, and I'm sure you guys have new stuff just around the corner, right? You guys are probably pioneering,
We
getting ready to launch stuff for 2025.
We have a lot of new things coming in 2025. Yeah, we can't wait. We're going to have a lot more video products in 2025. So for those people that are interested in video products, please do sign up to learn more about Soona. And of course, there's going to be more really great expert photo shoots for new platforms, new places to sell your product online. So as your business grows and scales, or if you're in an existing brand that's evolving, changing, wanting to take that next step in your business, I definitely encourage you to come check us out, because we definitely have something. If you live at the intersection of e-commerce and content, I know that we have something now or something coming that will help you.
Liz Giorgi, thanks for taking the time to be with us here today on the Tech Visionary Show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tech Visionary Show, again, each and every week, we're diving into technology. Where has it been? Where's it going? And how do we interface with it? How do we learn from the people that are out on the front lines, like Liz is with her company, Soona? Again, you want to come back, join us for another conversation on the Tech Visionary Show, which may be sponsored by Drink. Be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel, add a comment with each episode, when we would love to interface, talk further with you. Until next time, I'm Rich Bontrager, inviting you to come on back for the Tech Visionary Show.